Hi, everybody. It's me, Charles Norm from Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of AthleticSOS. So it is a software that if your child is trying to get an athletic scholarship opportunity, if you use our software, which is absolutely no cost for you, it will help them and give them an opportunity to find all the schools that they're academically qualified to attend that offer athletic scholarships for their sport. And so now they can start creating their own list while they go out. Especially important for this summer that you already know which schools you're trying to attack or attract, so that you can tell them where you're going to be, especially if you're nearby, if you're on a travel club team or you happen to be in a tournament or a combine or a showcase somewhere. You want to let those coaches know that you are coming near them, or if they're near you already, they can come see you participate. Or if there's a streaming service that's working for your tournament or combine or showcase, you want to make sure they can get a link to that so they can see you. And what you're trying to tell them is, hey, I'm interested in you. I qualify to go to your school. I believe I can play at your level. Take a look at me. And I want to go to your school, and here are the reasons. So those are the kind of things that we want to do. So we're sort of reversing and giving you a better opportunity to get an athletic scholarship offer than your competition, because you've done some research ahead of time. You didn't just wait to get discovered. You did put the work in ahead of time, and you discovered on your own where you want to be. And then you also get discovered also. So it's a combination. You're getting both sides of the world. So that's kind of what we do. We don't charge for the software if you have a code. And so down below, I give you a code. I give you instructions for how to use it. Please, please, please use that code and give yourself the best chance possible. And what we're trying to do here at Sports Solution is we're trying to make that youth sports journey the greatest thing in the world. And we want to use that and leverage it so that you can go on, your kid can go on and lead a remarkable life. That really is what we want to do. So on this one, I'm trying not to get myself in trouble here, but first of all, happy Father's Day to everyone. I am a dad. I am now a granddad. So this is really a cool day for me, and we're going to go and do some cool stuff later on, I hope. You know, no one's told me anything, but we'll see what's going on. A lot of whispering going around. I want you guys to have a fantastic day. And I want to talk a little bit at the end of this video about some of the things that for men in general. But I want to start with, and ladies, this one is for the men. So please bear with me on this. I really, really do think us as men, we need to look out for each other a little bit more. We're kind of all we have as far as our psychological, our makeup, the way we approach the world, the way we live in this world. I think a lot of times people forget that we can be quietly suffering in a lot of ways. And I talk to all of my friends, and now that I'm in this world, the softball world and the sports world, I hear a lot from a lot of men. Now, I've had an opportunity to come across men. So I got dads that are just, 9-to-5ers. They participate in sports. They coach, they referee, they are part of organizations for kids in sports. And then I've got the dads that are work really wealthy dads that aren't at home as much, so they don't get to participate, but they like to come and see, and make sure that they see their kids participate in things, and not just sports, but their other activities. And then I've got the dads that aren't in the house. Maybe they have the kid, it's a divorce, or they had the kid without being married, or whatever it is, but they still participate in their kids' lives. And then I have the dads that are sort of estranged. They don't get to be around their kids for various reasons. I've heard a lot both ways, but it's Father's Day, so we're going to keep everything positive, but they want to be involved in their kids' lives. And so these, for all of the guys, so if you look at the title, and a lot of people say that I get a little hyperbolic with my titles, but I need somebody to click on them so we can have these conversations and have these talks. And so on this title, I'm saying, and I'm going to argue the point that I am absolutely right on this, that if a child is playing sports and they are unsuccessful, that dad's going to kind of get blamed for that. And dads, just to help me out here, if you agree with me, to put a 1 in down below, and let people know that, yeah, even in your heart, you feel like, hey, that's kind of my responsibility. And I will say that they will get blamed if the kid has a successful sports career, but they will not get singular credit if they have a positive sports career. That it'll be both of us. And I've been married for 35 years, so I kind of go through this, and I kind of felt that pressure with my daughter. Remember, I started all this trying to get her an athletic scholarship and didn't know what I was doing. I did coach her a little bit in basketball for a couple of years, but I really had to dig down deep and figure out what's the best angle, what's the best approach for us to give her the best opportunity. And that resulted probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, me creating Athletic SOS so other parents didn't go through what we went through, and we were finally successful. And so that's what Athletic SOS is about. And so this is what I'd like to talk about today. So you're a dad, you've got a kid, and we want to start from that 5 to 9 years old. And you guys have probably heard me say a lot of this before, but I'm going to really push it towards fathers today. So you got that 5 to 9, and your kid wants to play sport. You want to put them in sports, you and your wife, or you by yourself, or whatever it is going on, or they just get signed up. The mom just signed them up. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure whatever sport they just signed up for, that they know the basics when they go out there for the first time. You do not want your kid to go out, I don't care if it's Little League or it's basketball, NJB, or soccer, AYSO, one of those things. Whatever they're going to do, it's your job to get them out there and get them the basics. And if you can't do it, you don't know the sport that well, then you need to go and find something pre-tryout. I know they're 5, they're 6 years old, but pre-tryout, you need to make sure that they know some of the basics, and you go out there with them and let them practice with them. Let them kick through some cones, or run through cones, or make layups, or shoot shots, or whatever it is they're trying to do. Swing the bat. They need to understand the equipment just a little bit. Don't overdo it. Don't scare them or anything like that. But you don't want them to go out there cold, I guess is what I'm saying, because that starts them off on the wrong foot. I'm not saying they can't catch up later, or you go out there and you see that they're struggling, then you need to get out there for that next week to make sure they don't struggle that next week. But if you can get a couple of weeks before they get started, best thing you can ever do, because it lets them get out there and have confidence, and they show up well early, and that starts that track. I tell everybody somewhere between 8 and 9 or 8 and 10, the kids separate. The kids that show promise really early get pulled off to the travel club, and they go away from rec, or they go away from the basic organizational sports like I named before. And so if you want your kid to be really successful, you need to get them into something, and they already start off at a good pace. They kind of know what they're doing, and then stay with them the next few weeks, all the way through the season. Go to the practices and see what they're working on, and then work with your kid during the week on those same things. So that's one thing you can do. And also at that age, and this is really important to me and something I'm really, really working on, is your kid should be playing the sport that fits them, that is quite natural to them. I keep trying to tell everybody, you can watch a kid play a sport and see that it just fits them. It's who they are, the way they play, the way they take to it. It's effortless almost for them. That is what you want. Those are the kids that stand out. Doesn't mean they're going to be the greatest in the world at it, but if it's effortless to them, then that is the sport for them. And so there's like 30 sports you can get an athletic scholarship, and there's some more sports that are outside of that. Try to help your kid find that sport that fits who they are. And maybe they don't get it on the first sport, but as time goes on, look at how your kid moves. Are they really athletic? Are they more cerebral in how they approach the game? Are they very technical in how they approach the game? What is it? A sport fits that. Try to find that. Like I said, there's 30 different sports. And one of these ways to do that in Athletic SOS, let's say you have a young kid. You can go and act like you're registering for Athletic SOS. Use that code down below. Don't do the whole registration if you're not in high school age. But what we're trying to do is look at that list of schools. List of sports. All those sports you can try out. Just find somewhere around you where some of those, and think about your kid. Think about what you believe they move, how they move in the world, how they present in the world, how aggressive or non-aggressive they are, how athletic or non-athletic you believe they are, and then try to find a sport that fits that. But let them do the other things too. But that their friends are doing, that is known in your neighborhood, whatever's going on, let them do that. But also give them something else. What we don't want them to do is quit early, because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. They're not successful early. And so the other thing you might want to do is look at your wife, you dad. How tall are you? How athletic are you guys? Because your kid probably will have some of that DNA. Yes, maybe one of the grandparents or one of the sides of the family is super big, tall, whatever it is that you need to be for that sport. But if both of you are, 5'5", then maybe basketball's not it. Maybe volleyball won't work. I guess you could be the setter or the point guard, but you get what I'm saying. So you want to give your kid the best chance to play as long as possible at a high level. And so that's what we want to do. Now we get to ages 10 to 12, and I call that, so ages 5 to 9, I call discovery. You should find that sport that fits you, and then you should discover how to play, which equipment, what style is right for you, who you're going to be as you move up the ladder. Now from 10 to 12, I call that the focus phase, right? So now we've kind of picked out 1 or 2 sports. I think you should have 2, maybe 3 sports that you want to play around with, but 1 or 2 you really want to focus in on. You want to kind of dig a little bit deeper. And so this is where you're going to try to find out, okay, if my kid was going to play this in high school, if they're going to play this sport in college, What are we going to do? Now we're looking for that correct travel club program, right? And then we're also looking for a trainer that will train your kid on who they're going to be at the next level. So that could be, hey, if they're going to get to high school playing this, we need to start working on focus on, yes, you want the general ability to play the sport, but you also want to say, okay, this is the probably position I'm going to be playing as I move forward based on my size, my height, my weight, my whatever it is that you need to do. And you're starting to move them there. But one of the other things that we want to do is we want to train differently than everyone else, right? We want to train, like I said, there's stuff like vision training and oxygen training and cognitive training. And these are new things that are coming across for training for sports. And it gives your child a advantage over the people that are just doing the physical training, right? You're working out, you're doing skill development, you're doing it. Everybody's doing that. You're on your travel club program. You're on the best travel club program there is. You can, people with money maybe have a better trainer than you. But if you can train differently than everyone else for your kid, then you are doing something that puts your kid at an advantage over their competition. And that's what you're going to need in today's day. And then finally, that 13 and through 17 years, that's basically the high school years. You'll hear everywhere that at age 13, most kids stop playing, right? They quit. And so it's an indictment for everybody on sports, but I don't think that's what it is. I've already had this argument forever. Every time I go to a board or something, I hear this. I always point out, I go, no, what's really happening is those kids are entering high school and only so many kids can make the high school team, right? There's frost soft, there's JV, and there's varsity. And there's only so many kids that can make those teams. And so a lot of kids get there and a lot lose interest, but most kids the situation is really very simple. They did not make that high school team and they don't want to do it anymore, or they were kind of burned out anyway. We overdid it, which is almost what happened to my daughter. And I tell this story over and over again. My daughter was really, really good. I had my daughter and my son. My son's a little older. He didn't get really good athletically until almost the 10th, 11th grade. He worked really hard at the game, but he played basketball too. But it wasn't until the 11th grade that his coordination, it all came together for him, I guess is the best way to put it. And then he was on varsity and he played. But my daughter, right out the chute, she's really good at everything. Anything we put her in, she's a really good athlete. But she went to play basketball. So I went more towards my son. And that's why I like to have this argument that if the kid is not doing well, dad's on duty, right? And then my daughter and my wife kind of went off and she played like on the top travel club team, 3rd, 4th grade, 5th, 6th grade, 6th, 7th grade. And so we were driving somewhere in her 7th, she was in her 7th grade year. And my daughter said, I don't think I want to play anymore. I think she's going to 6th or 7th. She goes, I don't want to play anymore. And I go, what just happened? I actually pulled the car over because it caught me off guard. I thought she was having a great time. I see all the pictures. They're going across the country. They're beating everybody. They got all these trophies. And so I'm thinking, hey, she must be having it must be going really well. I never even thought to go, hey, are you having fun? And that's what she said. She goes, it's not fun. I don't want to do it anymore. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is that, I actually pulled the car over. I remember this so well. And I said, well, what if I coach you if you're not having fun? She goes, oh, okay, if you coach, it's good. And she just dropped it from there. It wasn't even a big deal. And we went on to do what we were going to do. I don't know, we were going to the store for something. And she wanted to go with me. And so I ended up coaching her 7th grade, 8th grade. And then when she got to the 9th grade, got to high school, she had a really great freshman year. And that's where this idea for AthleticSOS ended up coming from, is because I knew I was not qualified to coach her if she was going to try to get an athletic scholarship. And she had a really good freshman year. I was getting ready to put her on a travel club team, and that happened to be the year 2008, 2009. The recession came in. I got put on furlough at work, so my pay was cut. I wasn't fired, but my pay was cut, and we had trouble financially, and so I had to make some decisions, and that's where I started. I got lucky that her high school coach her freshman year was a first-year coach, and he came from the junior college coaching world. He was still a professor at that school, but he came and told me that we were doing it all wrong, and here's the way he would approach it. And that's really what AthleticSOS is. So I want to bring all of that up to say that, yes, Dad, you kind of get that lump in your throat if your kid is not making it, or they're really talented, but they can't get over the hump, or there's some reason that they didn't get on this travel club team and you got to move them somewhere else. And all of the things that came up with me. And yes, my wife was actually with my daughter as she was moving through it, and I should have paid more attention. I can tell with my daughter, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring to. It's interesting when kids, I hear a lot from the dads that they don't kind of get acknowledged on things that are going on with their kids' life. But I think dads actually have that I know women have intuition. They always talk about their intuition. dads have something too. We have insight. We have insight on who our kids are and what they want to do. And one of the things I'm trying to do with Athletic SOS is I want to make that journey that I just talked about for youth sports, where you try to give your kid a competitive advantage. I want to go past that. I want to parallel that sports piece of it. I want to parallel it with who is your kid? Who do they want to be? What are their other interests and things like that? And we have this program we call Athlete that we're putting in. And there's a really large religious organization we're working with. There's also a city that we're actually working with on this, and a couple of other organizations that we're bringing this program in. And what we're trying to do is, while I'm going to practice, or I'm going to these games or these combines or these showcases and competitions, wherever I'm going, these viewing tournaments, where I'm playing high school and we go different places, I want to take what your kid likes, who they are, and we want to emphasize that too. So when we go to these events, we go to these things, that we're going to add this in on top of it. So I don't know what your kid's into, and maybe your kid isn't quite fleshed out on what they're going to be at a young age, and you want to introduce them to as many things as possible. That's why I like the idea of trying to find a bunch of different sports, because they're going to meet different people. And I will argue for our futures, for your kids' futures, the way that we were raised, the way I was raised, that you go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a great job, make enough money, move up the ladder, stay there for a while, and have a decent life. That the American dream sort of layout for that, it's ending. It's not going to be that way anymore. And when I started this business after working in government for 30 plus years, and I started the business, I see a whole new world now. I'm around a lot of really wealthy people, and I watch how they got there. No one ever tells you that back end story, but they knew somebody. They had assets. They had people that gave them their first opportunity, or they were in worlds where they were introduced to the right people, or they were in this business, or they knew somebody that kind of got them off to a great start. I know it's not everybody, but for the majority of them, and they don't see it as an advantage. It just is for them. That's just the way they came up. That's who they're around. They don't think they had an advantage over the person that had none of that, that started from scratch. And sometimes you have to start from scratch, and you have to make that network of people. But what we want to do with your kids is, we want, as they're moving through this world, we want them to get introduced and meet these kids early, and get socially connected with different people. So as they go through this, as they go from elementary to junior high to high school to college, if they get an opportunity to play there, that they have these assets, and they are an asset to other people. That is going to be the key to the future. Are you an asset to the group that you want to join? Because you won't necessarily be able to do this on your own anymore. It just won't happen. There's too many other groups that can pull their money together, their resources together, their knowledge together, their network together, and they can do things. And they will, even if you start off and you have all good intentions, great idea, and you're ready to go, you will not get there, because those people are in your way. And on top of that, there's people in your way, even if you try to do it on your own, and you have to get around that. So for the future, yes, they're going to still have to follow the pattern. I don't think our kids are far enough out, or your kids are far enough out to where they don't have to do that other path, because that's the path that's in place right now. But you're going to have to add this on top of, because they're going to have to do something extra as they move through life. They're going to have that job, and they're going to have to get up and move forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I want you to get into the mindset, dads, you have to know who your kid is, and you're going to have to emphasize to make sure that all of that comes in and it brings out who they are, and they can get into that world, and you can start helping them move forward in that world. Yes, you want to kind of dictate what road they go to a little bit on making sure they're going to go to school and keep their grades up, and maybe go into the right field so that they can make enough money. But I think in the future, it won't matter as much, because what you're going to end up doing, no matter what field you're in, you're going to combine that with something else. You can make money doing anything as we move forward, because you can get out into the world and let people know who you are and what you do in a different way. The gatekeepers are being knocked down. And I know there's some frivolous things, people always say, you're going to school for basket weaving, or, you're getting an art degree or history degree, whatever it is that people were negative about. I don't think that's going to matter as much as we move forward. Yes, everyone wants to go into STEM, but I have tons of friends in STEM. I've been in STEM my whole world. We didn't call it STEM back there. Back then, I was in technology, and I made a career out of that. But I saw that coming, and then I kind of wedged my way in there, and I happened to be good at it. It fit who I was, and that's one of the things we talk about with sports. But I got into that world. But I know a lot of people in STEM that are in trouble right now, that were behind me a few years, but they went off into these private worlds, these private companies, these up and coming companies, and now a lot of people are getting laid off or they're getting their pay cut. And so there were some glory years there. I won't give that up. And STEM is moving forward. It's a great thing to get in. It's a big thing. But I think if you're in STEM, and I tell everybody I know, I go, well, why don't you create something? I did AthleticSOS, but I worked in the regular STEM world. In fact, I worked in government. One of the places you go is not very entrepreneurial, but I made it entrepreneurial while I was there. You get that sense of creating things and moving things forward. And I just had a different way of approaching things. But that's what they're going to have to do. So I think they're going to have to get that job. And instead of coming home and being able to relax and watch some TV and have dinner and chill out and let everything progress, they're going to have to go out and get working on their next thing, their parallel thing. They're going to have to start a business, a company. And that's why I want them to pick up those assets and build those networks as they're coming through here so that they have some people to work with. You don't want to do that alone. It is very lonely. It's very difficult to do, but we have the time to do it. We just don't take advantage of that time because we want to relax. We want to be entertained. We want to be whatever that is. And you have to have some of that, but I think you can join that with your kid going through this. You can visit things. You can learn about different things and you'll see what it is, but your kid should be in that mindset as they move forward. I'm going to throw that on the dads. That is your responsibility as we move forward, is to make sure your kid is prepared for what the future is bringing by doing, yes, we're going to play sports. I'm going to help you get prepared for sports. I'm going to help you get off to a good start. I'm going to help you dig in when you get to that 10 to 12, and I'm going to help you if you want to get over the top and play at the collegiate level. I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to use AthleticSOS as part of that. So please be free to take a look at it. If you go to AthleticSOS.com, there's a little video on the front. It kind of shows how it works. I know I'm talking about it. You haven't seen it, but you can use it at no cost. So if you know somebody in your family, in your life that wants to do that, please feel free to take that code and give it out to whoever you want. Now, that is the part for the sports piece. And so now I want to try to talk to men just in general. One of the things I think that we don't do for ourselves, and I talk to so many men about this kind of stuff, it really interests me, is the mental aspect of being a guy. You just sort of feel like nothing is geared towards you, and then everybody else, all the women on the media, everybody says that it's a patriarchy and we're in control of everything. So what are you whining about? Just get out there, hustle. We got the older generation. My generation is really guilty of this. Is just hustle and do what you're supposed to do, and everything should be fine. All of that stuff. But what I want us to do is to start looking out for each other, and it's really weird. I think we're our own worst enemy on this thing. Is we doing everything we can for our families, and they appreciate us. I know my family appreciates me, but we don't really want to talk about it like that. It kind of feels a little icky to us, a little mushy, and that's not what we want. And we want to be able to do this. We don't like to talk about it or make a big deal of what we're doing because it's what we're supposed to do. We feel that. Everybody else feels that. And so sometimes it feels like there's no appreciation there. So one of the things I like to do for Father's Day, and if you guys go back and watch, I've done Father's Day videos before, is one of the things we want to do on Father's Day is we see a dad with his kids, a granddad with his grandkids, whatever's going on, just say, hey, happy Father's Day to you. And I want the men to be able to say back, hey, I appreciate that. So you're just saying, I appreciate it. You're not going any further than that. But I think we want to go a step further. I think if we start looking out for one another, that we can take this to the next level, especially mentally, because I think sports helps a lot. So if you are a male, you're a dad, but if you're just a male in general and you don't have kids or anything like that, go volunteer for the sports, especially the youth sports world. Go be a referee or an umpire, whatever it is you can do. Go help with the grounds, clean up the grounds. If you're a dad, granddad, go out and be an assistant coach. You don't have to be the main coach, and go out and help and help them clean up and just be around so they can see men in those positions and be there, and so you can pay attention, especially for the boys, but even for your girls, for your daughters and all that, and your granddaughters. Get out there. But even bigger than that, I think men need to start acknowledging one another. And I've been really working on this in the last year or so on how I would approach that, because again, we don't want to start talking about it, getting all mushy. Oh, hey, I really appreciate you. You're doing a great job. You're a cool guy. Blah, blah, blah. Even me and my friends, one of the ways we kind of get around each other, we meet up every now and then and go have something to eat, or we go to somebody's house and watch the games. And you don't want to get mushy in there. Hey, I really appreciate you, man. What are you doing? Stop, right? So that's who we are. And that's the way we're raised. And maybe that's just who we are naturally. But what we can do, and I had this just recently, I just came back from Athletic Directors Conference, and I was in the airport. My wife went with me. And so she went to go look around the airport for something. And so I was sitting there, and then a big family came, and you could see it was the grandparents and their kids and their grandkids, and it was just a big group. And so they all came, and I had, I'm like any other man. There was a guy and his wife here. My wife and I sat here. There was a seat empty. I left the seat empty here, and my wife was sitting here. And so the guy that was there, he had his bag sitting in the chair, and my wife put her bags on her chair to save it because she was going to go wander around the airport. And so the guy came, he had this big family, and his wife came up and goes, "Hey, can we have that seat?" And all my wife's stuff's on there, and I'm exhausted, right? But I go, yeah, I guess, yeah, you can have it. So the other guy there, he heard her, and he moved his bag out of the seat. So the idea was that I would just slide down. But I just took my wife's stuff and moved it over, and then that left this seat empty, right? And so everything's cool with that, right? So his granddaughter was going to sit there, and she wanted to sit next to her granddad. But then the mom said, "Hey, you guys, let's go get something to eat." And so they all got up and left, and it was just him, and it was all these seats he had to save. So I'm laughing about it because I've been in that world before. And so he's got bags everywhere, the same situation I just had with my wife, right? So he's sitting there, and I just said, how do I acknowledge? Because I know what he's done. I know this is him because I'm just looking at his demeanor and how he moves. And I said, "Wow." I said, "Hey, you got the whole family out for a vacation." I said, "That's pretty good." I said, "How's it been?" He goes, "This is the greatest thing in the world." He goes, "We had to save up." He goes, "We have this timeshare, and we would come and we would get another year and we would save it. And it took us almost 5 years to get this all together where everybody can come and enjoy it." And then he goes, "It's just been the greatest." He goes, "I can't do it that often, but the fact that we pulled this off, I am so happy." And I will just say, I went to the Hawaii Athletic Directors Conference. And so they were in Hawaii, and he had his whole family there. And so I said, "Wow, man." I said, "That is so cool." I said, "That's kind of living the dream because we're pulling that same thing off for our family." And it took a while to get it. We had to go to these, we go for our timeshare time, and then we go to the interview thing, and they give us another week, and then we get somebody else on the list, and then they get away. So we're going to try to combine all these things. I go, "That's it. That is pretty cool that you put all that together." I could see it in his face that he was really proud of himself. And I said, that's the dream. You're living the dream." And he goes, "Thank you. Thank you." And we get to talk, and come to find out one of his grandsons is really good at baseball. And I go, "Hey, I got this cool software. I know I'm not going to pull out everything and show it to you, but here, let me give you a card. Here's the code." I gave him the code. And I said, "Hey, just check it out. Have his dad check it out. If they like it, you can use it, no cost to you." And he's like, "Wow, that's really great." And we have this real good conversation. And I normally would never even say anything, but I was trying to let him know that I saw what was going on. And I thought, and I know it's him and his wife that did it. Yes, ladies who stayed on. I get it. They did it together as a couple and everything. But that feeling for a man that his whole family can go and do something, and he can see it all happen around him. And the fact that he was sitting there with all the bags, he's responsible for everything on that row, right? Because moms just took everybody to go get some food, and she made everybody go because she didn't want to take a bunch of orders, so they need to go order for themselves. Let's find out what we're going to. That fact that he was still sitting there, and you could see on his face that beam when I brought it up, that's what I want for us. And so I know you can't run around and acknowledge every single person that does every single thing, but those guys that are out working, that are doing the manual stuff that you kind of walk by, or somebody you see that does a good job. And I don't, we can't do it for everything they do, but when you see somebody excel a little bit, just go, hey, I see you, but you did a great job on that, and you want to do it to the ladies too. I'm trying not to get myself in trouble here, but I do think the guys, for our mental stability, the fact that we don't really get a lot of attaboys as we go through because we're not supposed to, or the world has told us we're not supposed to. We need that too. And I think we need to do that for each other. If we start taking care of each other, I think those mental aspects that come with being a man and going through life and being a dad and all of that, because I guarantee you when your kid does really well, whether it's sports or anything, he's going to go, "Hey, Mom, thank you, Mom, whatever's going on," or "Love you," or whatever's going on. And Dad's just sitting in the cut and going, and they still appreciate you afterwards. You get the same hug, you get everything else. But it's kind of good if we look out for one another. And I think it's really important for our sons as they come through. Here's the thing I will tell every man. No matter how much you don't get sort of recognized as the kids are going through, as they make their accomplishments step after step after step, but what's going to happen, your essence, who you are as a man, is setting the standard for who your kids are going to be later. I don't care if you're even estranged. If you're around just enough so your presence is what they take away from it. But here's the problem with men. You won't see it in your kids until they're 30, 40, 50 years old. So it takes a long time before it comes out. But it does come out. You are important. Your piece of the pie is incredibly important, and it is taking effect. And that's why I want you to not get frustrated if for some reason you don't get to see your kids on a regular basis. Whatever is going on, you have to force your presence. And you don't have to do it a lot, but your presence runs off of them. And if you're in the household with them, it's going to be even more pronounced. So who you are, your standards, your demeanor, the way you go through life, the way you approach life, the ups and downs. You are the balance. You are the one that says, hey, don't worry about it. I got you. I know that for my daughter, for her, it was, hey, my dad's always got my back. And for my son, I saw him differently. He was struggle with sports. My daughter's doing really good, but I coached him all the way from the beginning until he got to high school. And then it finally clicked for him. And I know how important that is for them, but we never made a big deal out of it. I'm just there. I'm dad. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? And so these are the things that we bring that don't seem to be seen from the outside world. Mom is very much more. You can see her effect on the kids. But for the dad, you don't necessarily see it early on. You'll see it later. But it's important that you do it. I always tell everybody, every man that I know, all the kids that are coming up through our family, that I get, my niece, my nephew, my kids, and it'll be my grandkids. Hey, your job is to lead a great life. You have to lead a great life so you can help others have a good life. But I now have a new piece that I'm working on that I'm trying to see if it connects with those kids. And I'll bring that out next year. So see me on next Father's Day. But those are the things I want to say. Guys, we appreciate you. Let's appreciate each other. And let's acknowledge each other. When we get into an opportunity, somebody does something great happens for somebody, bring it out. Go, hey, this is really great for you. Make a big deal out of it. Especially if it's something special. You can't do it for every little thing. Man, we don't like that. It just makes us queasy, a little bit uneasy. But if there's something happening that really does stand out and you notice it, let them know. It's okay. All right. All right, guys, as always, best of luck to you in everything you do. And I'm going to have a really good controversial one next week. I'm already, I have it in my head. I'm just formulating how it's going to come out. And we're going to move forward with this. I want to get your kids an advantage, but I want to make youth sports the key for your kids living a great and wonderful life, a remarkable life. Oh, last thing. I wanted to show, we're getting ready to put our e-commerce, our Hawk Mindset website together. It's up right now because I'm doing something on there, but it's not ready to take any money or anything. But this is my favorite shirt on there, and I like to show it because we design all of our own shirts. Everything on there is ours if it's apparel. And so this one is the secret to success. And these are the 4 things I think it takes to get there: that curiosity, imagination. We want them to dream, but daydreaming, they kind of space out and they're dreaming about something. That's how things come for kids. And then the final one is effort. And so if they can get those 4 things, and those are the things that I want them to get as they're going through their youth sports career. It's not just about, how hard you hit the ball or how well you shoot or how your golf stroke, whatever they're playing. It's not about that. It's what is going along with that journey. And so these are the kind of things that we want to bring. We're trying to take this thing to another level. I know sometimes it feels like it's all over the place, but I know what I'm trying to accomplish here. And I want to use youth sports as that avenue to get our kids to the place they want to be for the rest of their lives. All right, guys, as always, we'll talk to you next week. Best of luck to you in all your endeavors, and we'll see you later.